Welcome to Video Hell Show. My name is Frank, and today it is a gun covers triple header episode. A number of videos in my collection have guns on the cover, especially the action films. So I decided to go off of that premise and pick 3 movies with people that had guns on the covers. And today I'm going to talk to you about 3 movies, one of which is The Killing Man. Secondly, we're going to talk about Blood Ties. And lastly, Lola's Game. So first off, I'm going to talk to you about The Killing Man. So, as I always do, I'll read a little bit off of the box here for you. On the front, we have a picture of our star, Mr. Jeff Wincott, who I, throughout the film, kind of, you don't see it here in the cover so much, but reminded me almost of like Zach Braff in a sort of way. Not every shot, but you look at him and he kind of has this Zach Braffish kind of look, so I'll refer to him in different ways like that. We have Jeff here in shirtless fashion. I don't even think he looks that cut throughout the entire movie, but I don't think you really see him too much without a shirt on, holding 2 guns, shirtless in what looks like a steel factory. And the title, The Killing Man. The tagline here is covered up by a sticker, but it looks like he says, he's dead on target. But if we're just doing what's not covered by the sticker, he's on. And let me also read here a little bit off the back of the box. With deadly efficiency, Harlan Garrett did the dirty work for the street slime that runs organized crime. But when he is double-crossed, the government recreates his identity to carry out their sinister plans. His lethal skills become a tool for powerful forces to keep the civilian population under control. For Garrett, even his friends become his enemies as he fights against the corrupt defense powers who have every weapon at their disposal. 100 minutes action movie released by Apex Entertainment, directed by Ashok Amritaj. And on the back here, we get some tantalizing stuff. We get Michael Ironside, who's also in the movie, and I think they should have top-billed him because Jeff Wincott really isn't that great, and Michael Ironside is. But then we have a picture here of him making out with some nudie lady and looking like he's bloody above a dead body or something. Anyway, one of the things I'll note real quick here on the back of the box, and I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to hold this up. Maybe I'll be able to zoom in afterwards. They've misspelled some stuff here on the back of the case. They spelled recreates as recreates, or R-E-C-R-E-A-T-S. That's not right. Not at all. And this line at the end here, even his friends become his enemies as he fights against the corrupt defense powers. I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. So we start off with a generic enough concept in this movie. This guy, Jeff Wincott, a.k.a. Garrett, wakes up in a facility, doesn't know who he is, has amnesia.
Pain. I must be alive. How long has it been? Who am I? What am I? What have they done?
From a traumatic event, they keep cutting between like him and pictures of him being in a fire. We find out that he was in a fire. He should have been killed, wasn't. The government, who heard of who he was, picked him up and brought him back to health, gave him a new face even.
I'll be recognized.
That's highly unlikely with that face. We also took the added precaution of changing your fingerprints during surgery.
Even though it's so stupid. They bring him back to do the government's dirty work, really. He was a mob hitman, killed 15 people. They make a big deal out of getting him to say that.
Think very hard. How many people have you killed?
15.
The beginning is really boring. They're just going through a bunch of tests. One non-boring test is they make him have sex with a lady. They hire a hooker.
Who are you?
I'm a nurse.
Why are you here?
To have sex.
And he just has sex with a prostitute who says she's a nurse, but then drops her clothes immediately.
I think he's regained his sexual functions. Thank you for that information, Doctor.
It's the schlockiest, dumbest stuff I've ever seen. One of the funniest things when he's in this facility is before he starts like training under his new boss, Mr. Green, played by Michael Ironside, he's bandaged up. And when they take off his bandages, They do the facial reveal, even though we don't know what he looked like before, so it's kind of meaningless. He has absolutely like no sign of having been just through a trauma. He has like a clean face. They take off the bandages. There's no scarring. There's no scabbing. There's no stitches. There's absolutely nothing. It looks like they just took bandages off a clean-faced person, which is exactly what they did, but spent no expense or effort in trying to make it look convincing, which really was pretty funny. Another funny thing is when Wincott awakens, they show him a series of violent movies, not videos, not like real footage of people being beat up or shot or killed. They show him a bunch of violent movies.
They show me movies where people do things to each other, kill each other. They make me remember things.
So I guess awaken his killer impulses, and he's sitting there like in the bed, like, whoa, why are they showing me all these violent movies? I don't like this violence. Even though he was a killer. And I guess they were really trying to plant the seed from very early on that he was trying to like turn over a new leaf or something, even though he really kind of doesn't and kind of does. A lot of this movie is extremely generic. It's it's a little enjoyable. There's a lot of random nudity. He goes to a strip club in the beginning for no reason. There's some action. He does some fighting. A lot of it's just okay. The gunfighting's okay. There's nothing standing out about any of it. It's just all very generic and kind of plods along until, the plot starts out generic until you find out like the reason he's been brought back by the government. And then I was like, wait, hold on a goddamn minute here. Until you find out why Bobo Braff is killing everybody. He is brought basically back from the dead by the government to destroy the gay agenda. There's this guy, a business mogul that he's tasked to kill first, who is being interviewed by a reporter, I guess.
Corporate homophobics have got to understand we aren't a bunch of trembling weaklings hiding in dark closets. Discrimination in the workplace has got to stop, and it's got to stop now.
Mr. Baker, don't you think that minimum quotas for hiring gays is a little radical?
It was radical for blacks once. It was radical for women once. Radical thoughts and actions have a way of becoming the norm. We aren't going to stop until we are considered normal.
Thank you, Mr. Baker.
And he's talking about how he wants to put forward these initiatives to make sure he hires gay people, to make sure that the workplace is diverse. He said what wasn't commonplace for women and African Americans before is now commonplace and should be for gay people as well. He himself, I believe the character, is also gay. So great, 100%. I actually love that message from a movie in the cusp of the 90s. This movie's from 1994, so to see a message of that positivity in 94 was great. So it's cool on the one hand that they're showing that and they want to put that forward. And the overall message of the movie, because Garrett is repentant in the end for having done all of this, I guess is one that supports the gay agenda and saying look, the government and people are out to generally stop this, but we're here to tell you that they're trying to stop it. So that's a positive message. Just weird how they end up presenting it. So Garrett kills this guy. I don't know if it's just Mr. Green's initiative or if the government or if people higher up are telling him to do it. You never really get a sense of that necessarily. But then, out of nowhere, the plot becomes, so a scientist, a doctor, finds out that the government created AIDS to kill people.
This is very dangerous, Annie.
All right, look, Tom, if they do have something to hide, if they've engineered this, then maybe somehow they can help us find a cure. They're bound to have information and data that we don't have. Maybe this is just what we need to push them over the edge and to make them come clean.
Yes, I know. That's what we all want, but...
What? But what?
There may be serious consequences.
And they send Garrett to kill her and get her data to make sure that that's covered up, which is fucking nuts. That's absolutely insane. That's one of the deepest weirdo conspiracy theorists for people that I know. They think that the government created AIDS. That's fucking wrong. That's dumb as shit. You don't know how viruses work. Go read a book or go to fucking school if that's what you think. You better go become a fucking doctor and then pretend you can try to tell me that shit. Otherwise, fuck off. But this guy has to kill this doctor lady. Instead of killing her, falls in love with her. There's some tumult there. Really doesn't amount to much. At the end, it kind of boils down in the building that scientist lady works. Big showdown, gunfight. It's sort of wishy-washy. Jeff Wincott gets shot in the leg. Doesn't seem to really affect him other than as soon as it happens and whenever somebody bad kicks him in his injury.
Piece of shit, you're nothing.
That's when it affects him. Otherwise, he seems pretty much unaffected. He's running around, throwing kicks.
Get up!
Shooting people, no big deal. So yeah, the funniest kill at the very end though is where where Garrett throws a knife into Michael Ironside's chest from like 10 yards away in a perfect straight line.
To do this.
It doesn't like show any of the going. Probably the effect would have been too hard to produce if they were showing the knife spinning through the air. Throws the knife across the room directly into Michael Ironside's chest, and he dies.
I'm dead.
And you think the movie's going to have some kind of satisfying conclusion at that point, but I'm here to tell you it doesn't. They put cute Dr. Lady onto a stretcher because she got shot in the gut earlier. Forgot to mention that. She gets shot in the gut, and she survives it somehow. He brings her out, she gets put on the stretcher, and then as soon as he puts her down on the stretcher, Garrett is immediately arrested.
You're gonna be alright! Don't worry about me! You just take care of yourself, you understand? Take care!
Like, they throw him down on the front of a cop car. I mean, cute Dr. Lady is like screaming for him, reaching for him, like, I want, Garrett, come with me, please. And like, they arrest him, put him in the back of the cop car after she's in the ambulance, and that's the end of the movie. They ended on Jeff Wincott's face. And that's it. The next movie I'm going to talk to you about is Blood Ties. So, like I do, I'm going to read some off the box here. An eye for an eye, a life for a life, words to live by, words to kill by. Brad Davis in Blood Ties. It's got two guns crashing through some glass, not shooting at anything in particular. Youth restricted viewing, must be 17 or older. How sexy. Starring Brad Davis, Tony LoBianco, and a bunch of other people from Italy. On the back here, we get some just some interesting graphic design, actually. I like the way they designed this in the back. They got a helicopter flying up here, which really doesn't have to do with anything. We get the tagline again, and here's a little bit of the description. An eye for an eye, a life for a life is the merciless code by which members of the bloodthirsty Sicilian mob live and die. Julian Salina, Brad Davis, an American naval engineer, must enter this brutal world to save his father's life. But to be his father's savior, Julian must be his cousin's executioner. Set amid the decaying beauty of modern-day Sicily, Blood Ties is filled with explosive action and gripping suspense. The story of a world so secret that few ever glimpse it, and so ruthless that those who do don't live to tell about it. So that's Blood Ties, released by Trans World Entertainment in 1987, even though I think it came out before then. This movie was actually a TV release, which was way longer. I believe this one was like 90 minutes or so. Yeah, something like that. 98 minutes. The original TV cut was like an hour and 20, hour and 24, something like that. Came out in Italy. It was a 4-part miniseries, and then they cut it down and released it elsewhere. The original title was Il Cugino Americano, which means the American cousin. I mean, this really wasn't a bad movie if you're into early 80s or mob films. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. It's just pretty generic. Again, another generic mob movie. There are other movies that do what this does way better. There are some interesting parts in it. It's not shot terribly. It's everything about the quality is mostly decent. The character acting is actually pretty good for the most part, especially the bad guy.
Did a lot of thinking before I chose you. You know what's more important? The life of your father, the life of some cousin you never even knew existed till a couple of days ago.
What is it, Chuny? Just money?
Everything. That's what it is. Now, I want you to tell me all about those 3 hours and 10 minutes you spent inside that Fort is.
That's my business.
So you like him?
I don't, I mean, I wish there was a lot to talk about in this one. There really isn't. It's not particularly thick on action. Little kid gets killed by a car bomb in the beginning, which is pretty brutal. But there's not really anything too interesting to say about this one. I mean, it centers around this guy named Julian, whose dad used to work for the mob or something, or used to have ties with the mob. The mob comes and says, hey, if your son doesn't come talk to this judge, who's his cousin that he's never met, we're gonna kill you. And so he's like, okay, I'll get my son. So the son comes and they're like, hey, if you don't do what we just said to your dad, we're gonna kill your dad.
You have a cousin in Palermo. You two you've never met. You've heard about each other. And now you're gonna make a nice family visit. Get to be good friends.
I want to hear my father's voice.
He's fine. I promise you. You do what I say, nobody will touch a hair on his head.
And he's like, okay. So he goes and he meets with his cousin a couple times, ends up eventually telling him, hey, the mob told me I have to kill you, I have to figure this out. First act is him figuring that out and trying to get out of it, but he can't. Second act is him coming to terms with it, and the third act is him getting revenge against the mob with his cousin. And that's his, I mean, I don't really, that's all there is to say about it. It's not really good enough to waste your time unless you're really a mob movie fan, an Italian person who likes to hear about Sicily. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in here that might be for a certain audience. I thought it was overall kind of boring. One of the interesting things was the mob, there's a lot to do with like honor and code, and the mob really doesn't want to end up having been seen as getting its hands dirty in any crimes. So the whole reason they get Julian to kill his cousin is because that would not tie them to it in any way. They make a big deal throughout the movie showing that the Don in Sicily at this, wherever, I think it's Palermo, they don't really want to ever be seen publicly as having done anything wrong. Images are very big to them, so they get other people that aren't connected to do their dirty work for them. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about Blood Ties. Let me take a nap. And last but not least, the last movie I'm going to talk to you here about, starring Joe Estevez, Doug Jeffrey, and Elise Muller, Lola's Game. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll were never so deadly. It's adventure. Wasn't much of an adventure. Let me read to you here the description off the back of the box. Detective Mike Cole, that's so annoying. That right off the bat, I don't even want to get too much further before I talk about the fact that the fucking lead guy's name in this movie is Mike Cole. Michael Cole.
Detective Mike Cole.
Huh? So when people fucking say, hey, it's Mike Cole, it sounds like they're saying Michael, but stupid. Who the fuck thought that that was a good idea? That's the stupidest shit. Someone should not have only gotten fired, but that should never have made it into the script, that his name was Michael. Holy shit. Detective Mike Cole's search for his ex-girlfriend's killer leads him into the hard rock underworld of sex, drugs, and murder. The sultry and seductive lead singer Alexis Stewart willingly complies to do anything to help Cole solve the case. When this includes several nights of passionate carnal sex, Cole finds himself caught in the game of murderous seduction, where the lead suspect is also his lover. Realizing he may be the next fatal victim of Lola's game, Cole's on the run for his life. So, that tells you, I don't even want to talk to you about this movie, honestly. It's so shitty.
Oh, that's smart. That's fucking brilliant. Don't you push me on this one, Mike.
This guy, as it says, finds his ex-girlfriend, I guess, dead on a beach somehow. I don't care. I was hard to pay attention to. It was hard to watch. It was bad. It was boring. It was crappy. He finds his naked ex-girlfriend's dead body on a beach without any signs of actual injury. He's a cop, by the way, Mike Cole, as it says, detective. And he chases this person throughout the movie, keeps, like, fucking around in the underworld, meets a rock singer lady, the one that's on the cover. That's not Lola. And Lola has nothing to do with the movie other than being dead. She's only in like one scene and maybe a flashback. But Lola does not play a part of this movie. And like, what's Lola's game? What is that referring to? Like, the woman that he messes with, I can't even remember her name in the movie. It's this blonde woman on the front. I guess it's Elise Muller. He's with her the whole movie. Like, Lola, and has nothing to do with it other than she died. Wouldn't it be like this woman's game? Whatever this lady's name is. Elise's game? Let's call her Elise. I don't remember her name in the movie. It doesn't matter. Who cares? I think it's Alexis. Does it say on the back? Alexis, yeah. So, why wouldn't it be Alexis's game? Because she ends up being the murderer. Spoiler alert!
Lola's dead. Ricky killed her, or had her killed. Get on with your life.
Gotta hand it to you, though. The clever part was getting me to bite on that insurance policy.
Like, he goes through the entire movie pretty much knowing that she's the one who killed his ex-girlfriend. She was sleeping with this club owner / record label owner dude.
My wife and I have an understanding.
Understand? Enlighten me.
Well, Alexis and I have a don't ask, don't tell policy.
And he was with Alexis, and she got mad that Lola screwed this guy, and so she killed him. And that's it. That's the whole movie. That's the plot of the movie. That's what happened. The rest is all just filler. I'll play some interesting scenes here.
I'm a cop. I'm Detective Cole, LAPD.
LAPD. Well, if you're LAPD, sir, you know the rules. You show me a badge. You don't show me a badge, you don't get anywhere near the site.
Stop that guy! Ah, cop! He is a cop!
Interesting is really hard to say. And at the very end, there's a stupid-ass showdown on a beach where Mike Cole confronts Alexis and ends up shooting her anyway.
It's over.
I'm not going to jail.
Because she draws a gun on him. Ooh, waste of 82 minutes. Doesn't even come in at a full 90. They couldn't bother. And even, oh my god, there's this opening scene, I think it's worth mentioning, where Mike Cole is on an underground drug sting. And you think that he's the drug dealer and this other guy is going to end up being the cop, but he's the cop.
How do I know your friend over there isn't a cop? Huh?
Relax, he ain't no cop.
Sorry, too late.
Okay. Look, I respect you, man, all right?
Donnie, why don't you have your friend wait in the car?
Hey, just chill till we're
all right,
through,
dude, but I'm telling you, I know this guy.
Look, man, you're blowing this for me.
All right.
Come on. We got a deal or what?
Yeah, just hold on a sec, man.
Yo, D, he's a cop!
And then he just doesn't say he's LAPD and shoots at this other guy and gives chase and eventually like arrests him and says he's LA. I think there's some problems legally with how he arrested that guy. I don't know. And the movie's just filled with stupid shit and really like crappy or iffy early 90s grunge rock from a band like the Fistulas. I don't remember. It's some, I'll play it here. I mean, this movie's a big who cares. It's a big old who cares. Why would you want to watch this? I don't know. I don't think you should. I don't think anybody should watch this. I think this movie, I mean, if you like So Bad It's Good movies, maybe watch it because it's got some funny stuff in it. This one is another one from New Horizons Home Video. They're becoming an unintended centerpiece for my show. The last couple movies I've done were New Horizons, and they produce some hot garbage. So maybe they're just great to keep putting on the show. I don't know what to say other than this movie sucks and everybody in it should be embarrassed. And if you even search for it on IMDb, most of the people don't have headshots, which is pretty telling. The only reason that I think this movie's somewhat worth it is because Joe Estevez is in it. I love Joe Estevez. He's amazing. That's just a personal love of mine. If you don't love Joe Estevez, you probably have a hard heart or whatever. But I love him in all of the B movies he's in. I love him on Decker, Tim Heidecker show Decker. Yeah, nothing else to say. That was real quick in terms of how my triple headers normally go. It took a long time to watch the movies, but not a long time to talk about them because they were mostly shitty. Which one was the best one? I don't know. I would say like maybe in terms of like quality films, Blood Ties is probably the best movie. The most fun to watch was The Killing Man. Lola's Game was a waste of time. And that's it. If it's not already too late, happy St. Patty's Day to everybody coming up. I have another video that I'm gonna make. I just watched a really interesting self-help tape. So something about that coming up here soon. And I watched a really crappy horror movie with my friends, but I need to get a copy of the film to be able to cut in some scenes for you. So yeah, we'll be back soon. Thanks for watching Video Hell Show, everybody. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe if you want to, and or don't, whatever. To all my 10 fans out there, thanks. Keep watching. I'll keep making them. We're all gonna die someday. So I'm just gonna crank out these videos and hope you enjoy them. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Peace.